Welcome back to our blind beer tasting series. Today's the 5th day of qualifiers. My wife's randomly selected 2 beers for today's taste. As you can see, both bottles are fully covered and the beer is ready to go. I will judge these beers on aroma, carbonation, colour and body. However, I have no actual idea what I'm doing, so I'll just tell you which beer I prefer. Let's get started. With beer A first, I think. Right off the bat, these 2 beers look very similar. This one is slightly lighter, so I think they may taste similar. Yeah, I'll have to get some new glasses because these just aren't working for me. It's very clear. They are quite light. They're not super light, but I wouldn't call them a dark colour either. It doesn't have a lot of aroma. It makes me think it's not a very strong beer. It's quite light to drink. It's okay. It's okay. I wouldn't call it my favourite beer in the world, but it's okay. I think it's a mid-strength beer. I'm not exactly sure what it is though. I don't think it's a light beer and I don't think it's a full strength beer either. Let's try beer B now. Beer B was slightly darker when we first had them. It's still very light. This beer's got it's a fuller taste. It's a fuller taste, but it's quite weak as well. Bit of a strange smell to it. Not a bad smell, just a strange smell. I think this is a less common beer. I think it's a less common beer. I think it's also a light beer. I'm currently preferring beer A. I will have to taste them a few more times to really work out which was my favourite. I think beer A might be... It's a super crisp beer of some variety. Or a dry. I don't think I've had these beers very often before. I'm not entirely sure what they are. Beer A is okay. I don't really enjoy it. I probably wouldn't buy that if I knew what it was. It's turned into a very light colour now. There's not much left. Beer B Beer B's not getting a lot better either. Yeah, this is a hard choice to choose a favourite. They're not. Neither of these beers are real flash. Definitely wouldn't be a common beer. I hope they're not a common beer that I drink often because they're not standing out. Very hard to pick. Yeah, B's getting worse. I don't like B. I'm going to say B something weird. And beer A. Let me... I think beer A, I'm going to go for Cooper's Ultralight. Cooper's Ultralight, possibly Hunt Ultra Crisp. I prefer beer A, but it's very tight. They're both on the lower end of my rating scale. You know, that he might be a D and he might be an E. D minus and E plus or something. They're not great beers, so I hope I haven't had them before, and I hope I don't say that they're good once I open them. So let's open the stubby holder on the left. So, ooh, it's definitely not a beer I've ever had before. Asahi Sukai. Don't really know how to pronounce that. It's a Japanese beer. It's one of the few non-Australian beers in our competition. And this is beer A. So I preferred beer A. It is 0.9 standard drinks. So that's somewhere between a light and a mid. It's not really a mid and it's not really a light. It was okay. I definitely wouldn't buy that if I come across it again. Beer B was worse though. So let's see what Beer B was. Ooh. Beer B was Cooper's Ultralight. There's a B on that. These glasses don't quite hold a full beer, so there's a slight bit left. I called Cooper's Ultralight. I hope it was for beer. I said there was a Cooper's Ultralight, but I think I actually said it was for beer A, so that wasn't a great beer. I think this is the second match Cooper's has lost. Thanks for joining me for today's beer review. It was a very close race. Unfortunately, it wasn't a very good race. Our winner, Asahi Sukai, was just better. It was hard to pick. I didn't know what beer it was. I've never had Asahi Sukai before. I called it a light to mid beer, 0.9 standard drinks. It's somewhere in that. It was all right. It definitely wasn't a strong competitor today. Our runner-up, Cooper's Ultralight. I didn't mention this in the tasting, but this is actually considered a non-alcoholic beer. It's only 0.5% alcohol volume. You can buy these at a supermarket in Australia. For a non-alcoholic beer, which is what this would be considered, ultralight, it's actually a very good non-alcoholic beer. I thought it was at least a light beer. I may have even called it a mid-strength beer in the video. For a non-alcoholic beer, it was very good. However, it still wasn't great as a beer. So it doesn't move on. I don't change my choice retrospectively knowing that it wasn't a beer. But if I had to have a non-alcoholic beer to drink, if I had to drive or if I had to get up early in the morning and didn't want to be hungover, I might actually consider drinking this as an alternative. I've only got Beer B left, so it'll have to do for the outro. Thanks for joining me.